And says, am I getting beard on you?
Well, it's not that. It's my body makeup.
Right. And then says, smells good. And she says, it's my body makeup. That's her big harassment moment. They are playfully acting for the camera, trying to make it look like two lovers, two people in a relationship are dancing with one another. For those who are not in the Hollywood world, what is wrong with her taking over the film?
I've never seen it before in my 30-plus year career in Hollywood. She wanted to be a producer. She started to make edits. She wanted to be part of the editing team. There were people hired, like human beings, actually hired to do the editing job, who had done work as editors. She wanted to be part of that team. The next thing you know...
Who wrote to me said that they worked on the set of It Ends With Us, okay? And that the villain in this entire story is not Blake Lively. It's not Justin Baldoni, but it is Ryan Reynolds. He goes into Blake Lively's trailer and they have an argument. All of the production assistants overheard the argument, okay? Now, what was at the root of that argument? We don't know, but we can assume it had something to do with what he saw in these dailies, what he read in the script. Who even knows what led him to even visit on this day? And the person says that from that day forward, he started involving himself, that he basically became a chaperone.
It's my favorite story, I think, in showbiz this year. The Justin Baldoni war with Blake Lively, which seems to me, initially I felt quite sorry for Blake Lively. Then I've been reading all the messages between them all, and which he's been putting out, obviously. And it just seems like a pair of absolute weapons-grade narcissists. Now, spray gunning each other with as much dirt as they can possibly do, having spewed lovey-dovey stuff to each other.
Blake Lively may have arrived at the Oscars with a bright smile, but by the end of the night, the mood had completely...
Someone who's not even nominated, Dancing Deadpool! I won't waste time. He won't waste time. I won't waste time.
Conan O'Brien had his usual lineup of jokes, but this time, Blake Lively wasn't laughing. Celebrity roast moments are nothing new, but this one had Twitter buzzing, the audience cringing, and Blake, well, let's just say her reactions spoke volumes.
And it's no wonder everyone avoided them like the plague.
TMZ just dropped a bomb on Blake Lively, and it made her day from pretty bad to...
And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Before the Oscars, Blake was already caught up in a messy lawsuit with Justin Baldoni. So was Conan's joke just bad timing? Or did he intentionally strike a nerve?
Uncomfortable with Justin Baldoni yesterday while she was filming. She states that Mr. Baldoni put his bare hands on her backside and said that he was trying to help her with her posture. Complainant immediately voiced her displeasure with being touched.
A comedian, an A-list actress, and a brewing legal drama. Hollywood chaos at its finest. But what exactly did Conan say? How did Blake react? And is this just an awkward moment, or the beginning of something much bigger? Let's break it all down.
Was determined to make him the real-life villain in her story because she wasn't doing well on the promo tour for the movie. It was very tone deaf. Her hair care line wasn't doing well. She was trying to sell booze.
Conan O'Brien had the Oscars audience in stitches, effortlessly roasting Hollywood's biggest stars with his signature wit. As a comedy legend, when he takes the stage, you know someone is about to be in the hot seat. But what no one saw coming was that the night's most talked-about moment would center around Blake Lively. Always known for her grace and composure, Blake seemed unshakable, until Conan made a pointed jab about her ongoing lawsuit. In an instant, the room's energy shifted. Laughter faded, a few gasps echoed, and Blake's expression changed dramatically. But here's where things took an unexpected turn. Blake didn't just sit through the moment. According to sources, she got up shortly after and left the event, never returning. This wasn't just a quick break, it was a full-on exit. And yet, she has never publicly addressed what really happened. After she left, the cameras conveniently stopped tracking her, but speculation took over. Reports suggest she was blindsided and humiliated by the joke, prompting her abrupt departure. Given the global stage of the Oscars, her absence was impossible to ignore, especially since it followed Conan's comments so closely. Naturally, questions began swirling. Where did Blake go? Did Conan's jab push her over the edge? Was she texting her legal team, gearing up for a lawsuit? Or, as some theorized, was she heading backstage for a confrontation? One thing is certain, Blake's sudden exit changed the entire mood of the night. What should have been an evening of celebration turned into a tense moment, with murmurs about her ongoing legal drama with Justin Baldoni rippling through the crowd. Those close to Blake noted her mix of shock and frustration, making it clear this was not something she would easily brush off. She left so quickly it was as if she disappeared before anyone could fully register what had happened. But the conversation didn't end there. Social media, particularly X, formerly known as Twitter, exploded with reactions. Fans and critics alike dissected the moment, fueling the already growing controversy surrounding Blake. With recent headlines resurfacing negative stories about her, the question remains, how much more can Blake Lively's reputation endure? Hollywood's Queen Bee is facing mounting scrutiny. So was this just another public misstep, or the beginning of something even bigger?
Blake Lively, speaking at the Forbes Women's Summit, and this is from 2022, and she's just sort of casually discussing how, she lies and she takes over movies.
But that's not all. It turns out Blake Lively wasn't just rumored to have a habit of taking over projects she was invited to join. She actually admitted it herself. In a past interview, Blake openly acknowledged this tendency, leaving fans and critics stunned. Don't just take our word for it. See for yourself.
I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do. And so it was a really strange position to be in because I felt like I don't want to just be an actor. I want to have more authorship.
There you have it, straight from the source. As more and more receipts surface, it's becoming clear that no amount of damage control can slow the flood of evidence coming to light. Now, back to Blake Lively's latest public humiliation, the one that played out on the Oscar stage. Her quiet exit may have seemed subtle in the moment, but its impact on her image is anything but. Why? Because an A-lister of Blake's caliber walking out of an event as prestigious as the Oscars is virtually unheard of. The ceremony is known for its formality and global spotlight, and when celebrities do leave, it's never in such a dramatic, public fashion, especially not right after being called out. Let's be real, this is not a good look for Blake Lively. And now, with the world buzzing about the drama, the scrutiny on her is only intensifying.
Reason why I think in the future people are just not going to work with her because it's starting to add up. People are realizing that this is a pathology.
But that's not all. True to form, the moment news of Blake Lively's Oscars drama hit the internet, social media went into a frenzy. Everyone had an opinion, and speculation ran wild. What exactly did Conan O'Brien say? Did his joke strike a nerve because it was too close to the truth? Or was it just his usual brand of playful roasting? The sudden shift in conversation was impossible to ignore. Instead of trending for its glamorous fashion and big wins, the Oscars became synonymous with Blake Lively's abrupt exit. What should have been a night of celebration was now overshadowed by whispers and online debates. As the night went on, rumors swirled that Conan's joke was directly aimed at Blake's legal battle with Justin Baldoni. And as more details surfaced, some began questioning whether Blake had been as forthcoming about the lawsuit as she initially seemed. Her empty seat flashed on the big screen throughout the night, a glaring reminder of the scandal unfolding in real time. By the end of the ceremony, the talk of the town wasn't the best-dressed stars or the most powerful speeches. It was how one actress, already facing mounting controversy, had managed to turn the Oscars into a stage for her legal troubles. A mess, to say the least. While some argued that Conan crossed a line, after all, there's a difference between a light-hearted roast and dragging someone's real-life legal battle into the spotlight. Others insisted that in Hollywood, nothing is off-limits. And with Blake Lively's reputation already taking a hit due to accusations of cruelty, arrogance, and manipulation, sympathy was in short supply. In fact, many believe this is exactly the kind of reckoning she deserves for allegedly twisting public perception in her favor during her legal battle with Justin Baldoni.
She seems to hate the press junkets over the years. She barely seems to enjoy her fans. She kind of thinks that she's above her fans, thinks she's above the press, and is just always rude, right?
Let's be real. Hollywood has never been short on Savage Award show moments. Ricky Gervais practically turned celebrity roasting into an art form. And of course, who could forget Chris Rock and that slap? So, was Conan O'Brien just following tradition? Or did he choose the wrong target this time? By the next morning, the incident was everywhere. Headlines exploded, news outlets dissected every detail, and social media kept the conversation going. But interestingly, Blake Lively remained silent. No public statement, no cryptic Instagram post, nothing. Instead, her team reportedly declined to comment. And in Hollywood, silence usually means one of two things. Either a calculated response is in the works, or they're hoping the drama dies down on its own. But the speculation didn't stop. Eyewitness accounts suggest that Conan's opening remarks were the breaking point, the moment that sent Blake walking out of the Oscars and straight into yet another controversy.
Dancing Deadpool! I won't waste.
Oscar hosts are no strangers to poking fun at the industry's biggest names, but this time, Conan O'Brien took things a step further, specifically targeting Blake Lively and her ongoing lawsuit with Justin Baldoni. According to eyewitnesses seated near Blake, her entire demeanor shifted the moment Conan started making pointed remarks about certain attendees who had more pressing matters in court than on the red carpet. A direct hit, and Blake knew it. But that wasn't the end of it. As soon as the joke landed, whispers about even bigger legal troubles began circulating, making it clear that Conan's remark wasn't just a random quip. It was aimed squarely at Hollywood's most controversial figure of the moment, Blake Lively. Whether Conan actually said her name remains up for debate. Some argue he never explicitly mentioned Blake or her husband, but the context made it impossible to mistake who he was talking about. Others insist he dropped her name outright, making this one of the most direct jabs of the night. Regardless, the message was loud and clear. Even if some in the audience didn't catch it at first, when Conan referenced two Hollywood stars at odds, throwing legal documents like confetti, the connection was undeniable. And Blake? She wasn't sticking around to laugh it off. From the moment Conan O'Brien wrapped up his monologue, the conversation shifted, not to the winners, the speeches, or the stunning fashion, but to one burning question. Where did Blake Lively go? The tension in the room was undeniable. Conan's joke was met with an awkward, uncertain round of applause, and even he, along with the presenters, seemed momentarily caught off guard by Blake's reaction. What was meant to be a polished, celebratory evening quickly spiraled into a social media frenzy, with Blake's abrupt exit dominating the headlines. Her walkout didn't just cause a stir, it completely disrupted the event's flow. If not for the presenters pushing forward and keeping the show on track, the carefully planned schedule might have crumbled under the weight of the unexpected drama.
You never stood. Okay, all right. Hi, Demi. How are you? That was weird. Yeah, awkward. I'm missing some car keys. Anyway. This is very exciting. Hello, I'm your host, Conan O'Brien.
Despite the presenters' best efforts to keep things moving, a lingering sense of awkwardness hung over the ceremony. Blake Lively's dramatic exit had already set the tone for the night, and there was little anyone could do to shake off the tension. To make matters worse, some presenters couldn't resist making subtle references to the incident, though none dared to mention Blake's name outright. Others, either unaware or determined to keep things professional, carried on as if nothing had happened, focusing on the awards and ensuring the show stayed on track. But no matter how hard they tried to smooth things over, the elephant in the room was impossible to ignore. The night wasn't just about Hollywood's biggest achievements anymore. It had become a spectacle of its own, with Blake Lively at the center of the drama.
To present the Oscar for costume design, please welcome Lily Rose Depp, Elle Fanning, John Lithgow, Connie Nielsen, and Bowen Yang.
First subpoena, as you pointed out when we talked on our prior show, it was massively overbroad. It basically asked for everything under the sun, and it was crazy. And it was never going to get granted in full. So I'm surprised they didn't back off and try to do a little more tailored at the beginning.
Zoomed in on her face in that moment, and you saw Kevin Costner kind of looking down in that SNL moment. She doesn't look comfortable. She doesn't. She looks anxious. She looks like she doesn't really want to be out in public when she knows that the public does not like her. And we saw this similarly at the event for South by Southwest. Some people are noticing that she's rambling when she's speaking on stage to the point of almost incoherency, rambling to deal with her angst, right?